live in. And with that, a lot of amazing events, stories we have in this world as well. We're diving deep into the most amazing and sometimes spooky stories. 이렇게 놀라운 세상에서 얼마나 놀라운 사건들과 이야기들이 우리들 이제 기다리고 있는가요? 때로는 놀랍고 때로는 섬뜩하기까지 한 이야기들을 파헤쳐 보겠습니다. We have Kady in the studio. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. 오랜만이에요. 같은 생각.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
계산해 보니까 한 10개월 됐나요?
맞아요.
Yeah, I mean it's been a while. 한 7개월 우리 방송도 쉬고.
Right.
복귀한 지도 한 3개월, 2개월? 2개월 가까이 되는데. 와우. 눈 깜박할 사이 이렇게.
진짜.
올해도 가는 것 같은데요. 어떻게 지내셨어요?
잘 지냈어요. 바쁘게 지냈었어요.
I love it.
Yeah.
Being busy is good.
Yeah, better than being bored.
That's right. 그렇다면 우리 케이님 모르신 분들을 위해서 간단하게 자기소개 부탁드리겠습니다.
네, 안녕하세요. 전 오스트리아에서 온 케이디입니다.
와우, 오스트리아!
Yeah, 오스트리아.
와! 모르신 분들도 계시겠지만 우리
아니면 호주랑 헷갈리는 분들도
that's right.
있지 않을까 싶어요.
Austria versus Australia.
Right.
But for those of you guys who don't know who Kady is, she is super smart.
No.
And she is super hot as well. So we're going to get to know what she's got prepared for us today. 이제 이 코너가 어떤 코너인지 간단하게 설명해 주시겠어요?
네, 매주 주제를 정해서 그 주제에 맞는 놀랄만한 사건들을 골라 랭킹을 매겨보는 코너입니다.
사건과 랭킹 기대해보면서 그럼 오늘 나눠볼 주제, 토픽은 뭘까요?
네, 오늘 나눠볼 주제는 대형 재난인데요. 네, 요즘 캐나다에서 대형 산불 일어난 거 보셨죠?
Yeah. So we're talking about natural disasters, 대형 재난이죠. So yeah, I mean, that was big news because it shifted over to even New York, where they have the worst air quality in the world. It was just bright orange. It's a terrifying scene to look at pictures. 지금 사진도 보고 있는데 엄청난 피해가 많았죠. So, I mean, it happens all around the world, whether it is man-made disasters or natural disasters. 몇 년 전에도 호주도 엄청나게 큰 산불이 난 적도 있기 때문에 유럽에서는 또 대형 홍수도 있었고 뭐 태풍, 허리케인, 지진 정말 골고루 그치지 않고 일어나는 것 같습니다. Yeah.
네.
그래서 오늘은 또 어떤 대형 재난 중에서 탑 6부터 1까지 하나씩 알아볼 건데요. So tell us what you got prepared.
Yeah, so today I have 6 different
맞아요. 6 different
disasters
stories.
ranked. Exactly.
네, 이제 이야기를 들어가기 앞서서 이제 저와 청취자분들께서 문제 하나 나겠습니다. 그래서 저희 탑 6를 알아볼 건데요. 발표하는 순위는 딱히 없습니다. She's going to introduce the top 6 natural disasters in no particular order. And so our job is to find out what the top number 1 of these are. 탑 랭킹 넘버 1을 찾는 게 저희 목표이죠.
네, 맞아요.
Okay. So good luck to us.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be able to get the number 1 among all natural disasters as we look at our top 6 again. So please send in your guesses. 샵 1013으로 문자 보내주시길 바랍니다. All right. What is number 6부터 알아볼까요?
Let's start. The Dorado Wildfire 2020. During a gender reveal party on an extremely hot day in September 2020, a California couple used a smoke bomb to creatively reveal whether their soon-to-be baby would be a boy or a girl. The device exploded and started a wildfire, which lasted for 71 days, burning 23,000 acres of land, destroying 16 buildings, and killing a firefighter. The couple was indicted for 30 crimes.
와. 엘도라도 산불. 이죠. 2020년 캘리포니아에서 아예 성별을 공개하는 이제 성별 공개 파티 같은 게 있는데요. 이제 한 커플은 곧 태어날 아이가 아들일지 딸일지 공개하기 위해서 연기 폭탄을 사용을 했는데요. 여기 연기 폭탄은 쳐져서 산불을 일으켰고 불은 1일간 이제 꺼지지 않았으며 2만 3천 에이커의 땅과 16개의 빌딩 그리고 한 명의 소방관의 목숨을 앗았습니다. So 이 커플은 30개의 죄명으로 기소됐다고 하는데요. This was huge news.
아직도 기억나요.
Right. So if you guys are looking at our 보이는 라디오에서도 이제 사진이 올라오는데요. It's incredible how something so small could spark a massive fire.
Yeah.
이것 때문에 또 왜 굳이 성별 공개 파티를 해야 되는지.
근데 그거 요즘 문제 진짜 많잖아요.
Sure.
이거 사실 첫 번째 이런 공개 파티 때문에 생긴 첫 번째 산불도 아니었고.
Oh, really?
네, 그 전에도 이미 있었고. 그리고 한번 작은 비행기도 떨어졌고.
Oh, wow.
그리고 그때 죽는 사람들이 있어요.
Wow.
네, 왜냐면 사람들이 특히 인스타를 위해 항상 조금 더 뭔가 특별한,
맞아요.
조금 더 재미있는 식으로 공개하고 싶은데
항상 레벨업을 하고 싶은 문화이죠.
And it's dangerous.
It certainly is. I mean, not even when it comes to forest fires or things like that, but you know, the balloons, the confetti, all those different things. I mean, I'm not saying I hate balloons. I still love balloons, but I guess when people, you know, put it up in the air, they throw it up, they release them, and what do you do?
Yeah, and it
Who
also
cleans
creates
it up?
a lot of trash. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe people should just stick to the cake because it started with cake. That was the
맞아요.
first thing. 그래서 그냥 케이크만 했으면 좋겠어요. 그거 그냥 맛있게 먹고
끝나는 걸로.
끝.
But nowadays, I mean, people still do these 연기 폭탄을 아직도 하시는 분들도 있어요.
맞아요.
So I think that's a little bit concerning as well, just because there are catastrophic, you know, consequences that can come from these smoke bombs.
맞아요. 그리고 원래 이거 미국에서 시작된 트렌드였는데 이제는 유럽에서도 많이 하고 호주에서도 하고
Yeah.
점점 많아지고 있어요. 오히려.
Right. And I don't know, I guess, you know, to each his own. It's become such a cultural thing
Yeah.
that we want to show the world what kind of baby that you're going to have, whether it be a boy or a girl. But then on the other side, people are talking about, you know, there's multiple genders. It's such a wide spectrum
Right.
of things happening around the world. But in any case, if we're talking back, you know, on natural disasters, have you ever seen 산불로 눈으로 본 적 있나요?
다행히 못 봤어요. 아직.
Yeah, I think I would be so
That
terrified.
would be scary.
Yeah, 너무 무서울 것 같아요.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
one time, there was no fire, but I saw like the smoke in my building, the building I lived in,
Oh wow!
caught on fire.
Oh wow!
And that alone was really scary, like running through the hallway that's full of smoke.
Oh my
It was
goodness.
terrible. So I can't even imagine what these people went through.
Yeah, I mean, just you know, if you see a campfire getting out of hand, that in itself can be very scary. And you know, in school you do the fire drills and things like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
But I can't imagine going through that in real life.
Yeah.
자, 한국에서는 주로 등산 갔던 사람들이 버린 담배꽁치 때문에 산불이
맞아요.
이루어지잖아요. Yeah, I think that's just like on another topic of negligence and the amount of trash that, you know, cigarette butts causes and the amount of fires that they cause as well. I mean, I don't know why it's still like okay for people to smoke cigarettes nowadays. I'm very against them in general, but especially in nature parks and things like that.
Right.
You got to be careful. Yeah, it's terribly scary. So 이렇게 해서 number 6, 특별한 뭐 순위가 없지만 number 6는 Dorado Wildfire. 성별을 공개하는 성별 공개 파티에서 이뤄진 산불이었습니다. All right, let's take a look at number 5.
Okay, number 5. The Montana asbestos disaster. In the 1920s, a company started mining vermiculite, a mineral used for insulation and fireproofing, in a small American town in Montana. At its peak, the town was producing 80% of the world's supply. However, no one realized that the mining activities also freed asbestos, a lethal substance that settled on the city like invisible and deadly snow. Nearly 10% of the town's population died, which finally brought the issue to light in 1999. In recent years, the whole town has been cleaned up. However, many residents still suffer from lifelong diseases.
Yeah, that's why people, have to be careful in lots of not only like mining sites, but also construction sites. Because I remember, asbestos was in ceilings as well.
Exactly, because it used to be used for all kinds of things. Yeah,
that's right. 이제 몬타나 성면 재앙에 대해서 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. 이거는 1999년에 이어진 사건인데요. 1920년대 한 기업은 화재 방지용 이제 원석인 질석을 미국의 한 작은 마을 몬타나에서 캐내기 시작했습니다. 가장 많이 캐낼 당시에는 전 세계 질석의 80%가 여기서 생산되었는데요. 하지만 이 과정에서는 사람에게 치명적인 성면이 만들어진다는 것을 몰랐고 성면은 도시에 보이지 않게 가득 채워졌다가 마을 인구의 거의 10%가 사망했고 1999년이 돼서야 이 사건은 조명받았다고 합니다. 최근에는 마을이 청결해졌지만 아직까지도 주민의 많은 사람들이 평생 동안 간병에 시달리고 있습니다. Yeah, I mean, we see lots of these cases, things that happened a long time ago. Like in war days, in the world wars, bombs that were used, all these different types of chemicals that were released. And then years later, we still see the side effects of these chemicals and things like that. So it's very disheartening to see how much asbestos, like we talked about, that was used in so many things back in the day.
Right.
Killed so many people.
And it took so long for people to realize and then to actually do something about it.
Yeah. So that makes me wonder, we talk about plastic as well.
Microplastic.
Microplastic. Apparently, 이제 플라스틱이 엄청 많아가지고 저희 섭취량이 1년에 한 신용카드 정도를 on average, 평균적으로 한 사람이 먹는 그 용량이라고 해야 되나요? That's the amount of plastic that people eat.
Oh, that's pretty gross.
Yeah, and it's now like not only in our digestive system, but it's in our bloodstream as well. So it's just being built into our system. And 이게 최근에서야 이제 최근 역사이잖아요.
네.
Talking about plastics and how we use it. So who knows? 뭐 이것도 한 70년 정도 걸려야 사람들이 깨달았고 이제 아스베스토스를 쓰지 말아야 되겠다라고 싶었는데 who knows? When was plastic first introduced? Compared to where we are now, how long does it take for us to be like, ooh, maybe plastic isn't
not such a good idea.
Killing a lot of marine life as we speak as well. So.
Right.
이제 영어로 성면이 asbestos. 이죠. Yeah. Did you know? Fun fact. 그리스어 어원인데 사실 없어지지 않는이라는 뜻이 가지고 있습니다. I mean, from that, maybe we should.
Yeah, because that's actually the thing. It gets into your lungs and then it doesn't get out again.
Yeah.
So it just piles up in your system.
That's right.
And then many people get cancer from it.
Right, and that's why they call it the silent killer.
Wow.
조용한 살인자라고도 이런 신문 기자들의 성면을 묘사하는데요. It goes into your 호흡할 때 이제 폐 속으로 들어간 성면이 일부 폐에 달아붙어 암 등 호흡기에 치명적인 그런 병들, 질환을 유발하는 것이 확인되면서 and then in 1999 they said, okay, bad idea. But certainly is a bad idea.
And from what I know, it took them until like 3 years ago to actually clean it up.
아, 진짜요?
It was 진짜 최근에 했어요.
3년 전. All right. So the El Dorado wildfire. We had Montana asbestos disaster. 4번은 뭘까요?
4번은 한번 들어봅시다. The Winter of Terror. In Austria, Switzerland, and Italy, the winter of 1951 became known as the Winter of Terror. After an unusually strong snowstorm that piled up 4 meters of snow in just 2 days, a cascade of 649 avalanches plunged down the Alps. The Andermatt town in Switzerland was struck by 6 avalanches in just 60 minutes. In total, the avalanches destroyed more than 600 buildings and trapped 40,000 people under the snow.
겨울 왕국보다는 공포의 겨울이라고 볼 수 있는데요. 이게 케이디님의 고향 오스트리아, 스위스, 이탈리아에서는 1951년 겨울이 공포의 겨울로 기억되고 있는데요. 고작 2일 동안 4m나 쌓인 눈 649개의 눈사태가 알프스를 타고 발생하게 됐습니다. 이제 스위스의 안데르마트 마을은 1시간 동안 6번의 눈사태를 맞았는데요. 눈사태는 한 600개가 넘는 빌딩을 파괴하고 4만 명이 넘는 사람들을 눈 속에 고립시켰다고 합니다. Wow. I wonder if those 40,000 people were saved or...
From what I know, they saved some of those people, but many, many people died.
That is incredible. So this is what can happen in just 2 days. 이틀 만에 이렇게 4m 쌓인 눈.
그때도 잠깐 동안 날씨가 이상해서 이렇게 된 건데 요즘도 날씨가 이상할 때 되게 많잖아요.
Right. And that's why, a part of us, a part of me actually, wants to live in the countryside, in the mountainside, in the seaside.
Maybe not such a good idea, yeah.
Yeah, but then if you hear about these stories, it's like, oh, why risk it?
Yeah.
Maybe the city is always the best. But then again, I mean...
But then you have, like,
earthquakes.
Yeah.
Nowhere is safe. Who knows? I mean, so in this case, more than 600 avalanches.
Mm-hmm.
To a certain point, it's kind of annoying, right? I mean, how can an avalanche occurred more than 600 times?
It's crazy because usually there are a lot of avalanches in the Alps, especially when it snows a lot, but never 600.
Yeah. Also, we should specify that it wasn't in one particular place.
Right. It was like
in Austria, in Switzerland, in Italy. So this particular winter, 1951년의 겨울이 이 세 개 국가에서 특별히 유일하게 심했죠.
Yeah. But those are very close together there. So like the mountains kind of like go into all 3 countries. So
Right, but I'm not saying it's like one particular city or anything like that.
It's like this region.
Yeah.
Exactly.
그럼 케이디님은 오스트리아에서 있을 때 이런 이야기 들어보신 적 있나요? Did you learn about it or?
Not really about this one that much because there are avalanches every year.
아, 그래요?
But as I said, not that many.
Right.
So there's always something to talk about. So there are always new ones.
Sure. 알프스 근처에 살면 눈사태가 매년
몇 번 일어나는 거예요.
Okay.
그래서 사람들 다 되게 조심해야 된다는 거 아는데 그래도 매년마다 사람들이 약간 슬로프 말고 조금 더 뭔가 숲이나 다른 데서 스키 타서 이제 생기는 경우가 많아요.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's quite scary if you've seen those skiing videos. I recently saw one and this guy kind of went a little too close to the ridge and it just gave out. The bottom ground just gave out.
Oh my goodness.
So what would you do if you were in that situation as well? If you saw that, 어떻게 도울 수도 없고. You just see that person just kind of
disappear.
fall. Disappear.
Yeah.
Wow, that is incredible.
It's scary.
It is. And so in this case as well, that was 40,000 people got stuck under the snow. I can't imagine. 제 이제 친구들도 캐나다 쪽에서 살거든요. 위쪽으로 가보시면 약간 벽처럼 사람들이 이제 문을 못 열릴 정도로 눈이 내리거든요.
맞아요.
And that happens quite often, regularly. And so maybe it doesn't seem like, such big news. And sometimes if you're a kid, 아이면 조금 재미있을 수도 있고, 왜냐하면 학교 안 가고, 부모님들도 일 안 가고 그냥 갇혀있는 느낌이긴 하지만, if that is, for miles and miles, 40,000 people aren't able to even see the sunlight out of the window for days and days and days. I mean, how would you, and that was back in, when was this? 1951.
Yeah, so back then you couldn't just, I don't know, text someone.
Yeah.
Order some pizza.
You can't do anything. And so how would you ever, get groceries or anything like that?
You were really cut off.
Who had fridges back then?
Yeah.
Wow.
Fridge, it's very cold outside. You probably wouldn't need that.
That is true. I guess that is true. But like stovetops, I'm guessing that would be the time where it just came out, so maybe it was a luxury for people to have.
Exactly.
요즘 알프스 빙하가 많이 녹았다고 하는데 because of climate change. So have you heard about like certain news about more avalanches because that it's melting or anything like that?
Well, last year the problem was that it didn't snow. So it usually snows a lot in January and December, but it didn't. There was no snow.
Interesting.
And people were extremely worried. It was like on TV every single day. Everyone was discussing it because it was so unusual.
Right.
And that also created a lot of problems because the animals, the plants there, they need the snow. And then suddenly, I think in March, it started to snow a lot.
In the spring.
Yeah, in the spring. When there shouldn't be any snow anymore.
Yeah.
So it was completely messed up.
Strange. Yeah, certainly strange indeed. Well, once again, let's break down what we learned today. So we are giving you top 6 natural disasters in no particular order, and we have to figure out which the top number 1 goes to. So we heard about the Dorado Wildfire. 이제 성별 공개 파티 하면서 아주 큰 산불이 일어난 2020년에 일어난 wildfire. And then we had the Montana Asbestos disaster back in 1999. And then winter terror, 공포의 겨울, back in 1951. Which one will take the top? Will it be amongst these 3? Or coming up in part 4, we have 3 more. So stick with us till the end. In the meantime, here is Sam Smith. I'm not the only one. We live in a beautiful world, but sometimes there are beautiful disasters that come with living in an incredibly powerful and sometimes, not so smart people we live in can create these beautiful disasters as well. All right, so what type of disaster was ranked number 1 among all the natural disasters we're going to have a look at today? Send us in your guesses. So 1번은 이제 성별 공개 파티에서 한 커플이 이제 산불을 일으켜서 아주 많은 피해가 일어났고요. 2번은 이제 몇십 년 동안 사용되는 이제 성면 제향에 대해서 알아봤는데요. 마을 인구의 10%가 사망한 사건이었고, number 3는 이제 what was number 3?
공포의 겨울.
맞아요. The terrors of the winter, and that was 1951년 649개의 눈사태가 발생하여 4만 명이 눈 속에 고립시켰다는 소식이었죠. Alright. 재난 관련해서 오늘 밤 많은 비가 올 수 있을지 몰라서 날씨 정보 한 번 더 살펴보겠습니다. 이제 현재 강원 내륙과 충청권, 전라권, 경상 내륙 일부 지역에 호우특보가 발효된 가운데 경상권, 강원권을 중심으로 시간당 20에서 40mm 내외의 매우 강한 비가 내리고 있습니다. 내일까지 전국 대부분 지역에 비가 오겠고 특히 오늘은 중부지방과 전라권, 내일은 남부지방과 제주도를 중심으로 강하고 많은 비가 내리는 곳이 있겠습니다. 비 피해 없도록 여러분 주의해 주시길 바랍니다. Alright, lots of things to take a look at. Of course, we are in the middle of quite a heavy monsoon season in Korea, so we got to stay safe as well. So let's take a look at the last 3 natural disasters you've prepared for today. 3번 가겠습니다.
The Great Kanto Earthquake. On September 1st, 1923, a forceful earthquake and a typhoon hit Japan at the same time. The earthquake caused fires, which were swept up by the strong winds and turned into fire whirlwinds composed of fire and ashes.
Whoa.
In Tokyo, one fire whirl alone killed 38,000 people, and the overall damage was so big that the Japanese government even considered the possibility of moving the capital elsewhere.
Was this where like Godzilla was born as well? I feel like they took like a part of history and maybe we have to fact check on that, but I think we might have learned about this in school, the Great Kanto earthquake.
Yeah, it's very well known.
Yeah. Very much so. 칸토, 관동 대지진이죠. 1923년 9월 1일 엄청난 지진과 태풍이 동시에 일본을 덮쳤는데요. 지진은 많은 불을 일으켰고 강하게 부는 바람에 불의 태풍을 만들었는데요. 도쿄에서 고작 불의 태풍 한 개가 38,000명의 사람의 목숨을 앗아갔고 피해가 너무나 커서 일본 정부는 수도를 다른 곳으로 변경하는 것까지 고려했다고 합니다. Incredible.
진짜 공포 영화 같잖아요.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that this was possible.
Yeah, taking a look at a black and white old photo of the time. Catastrophic.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Have you ever seen a picture of a fire tornado?
No, I've never seen.
It's crazy.
A fire tornado.
A fire tornado.
Gosh. I mean, that's just terror.
Yeah.
I mean, a tornado in itself, its whirlwind is so powerful in itself, and then you add fire on top of that. Where do you run?
Yeah, it's like a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So the Kanto massacre, also that happened in this town, it seems like this area may be a little bit, cursed or something.
Well, unfortunately, it was related actually to the earthquake.
Oh, it was
because,
related.
Yeah, the people were, of course, shocked, and they started blaming this on the people that they already didn't like before the earthquake.
Wow.
And yeah, so they put the blame on Koreans. And on socialists.
Wow.
And took out all of their pain and their anger on them.
Interesting. 그러면 이 지진으로 인해서 이제 많은 슬픔도 있었겠고 뭐 분노가 이제 어디인가에게 표출을 해야 되는데 이때 조선인들을 싫어하던 일본 분들이 이제 지진은 조선이 잘못이다. How can you say that it's a person's fault or a people's
정말
fault?
말이 안 되죠.
조선인이 우물에 독을 풀어서 사람들이 죽는다는 등의 거짓을 퍼뜨려 조선인을 학살하기도 했다고 하는데요. 이게 The Massacre of Koreans of 1923. So, incredible. My goodness. I mean, so much hatred, so much just misdirection of anger and
you would hope that something like this would bring people together, make them help each other,
right,
but sometimes it goes in the opposite direction. Yeah.
그렇겠네요. Okay, well, this was number 3 as well. 1923년 9월 1일 엄청난 지진으로 인해서 많은 이제 불 플러스 태풍이 동시에 일본을 덮쳤다는 1923, the Great Kanto earthquake that resulted in the Great Massacre of Koreans in 1923 as well. Well, let's take a look at number 2.
The Great Chilean Earthquake. In 1960, a sudden breaking of the largest tectonic plate near Chile caused an earthquake of the magnitude of 9.5, the largest earthquake ever recorded. It caused significant damage in many cities, destroying nearly half of the buildings in the city Valdivia. But most casualties were caused by the 25-meter-high tsunami that hit the Chilean coastline and hours later killed people in Hawaii, Japan, and the Philippines.
Wow.
So it went around the whole world.
I guess so. I mean, 9.5. 상상이 안 가요. I mean, I think we had one here recently a few years back, and that was like, I want to say like maybe 6 point something. 최근에 그렇게 되지 않았나요? Like, and that was, I was living in a high-rise apartment building. 그때 한 몇 년 전에 한 22층짜리의 아파트에 살고 있었는데 막 느껴지게 되더라고요.
느꼈어요?
Yeah, I felt it coming. I actually 들리게 되더라고요. You kind of hear the rumbles and shake. TV 보는데 끄고 뭐지 하다가 then I started feeling the shake and it was incredibly scary because 사실 캘리포니아 출신이어가지고 사실 지진을 자주 이루어지다? You get a lot of earthquakes in California, but the buildings and everything are built for that. 나 한국은 없어가지고 지진이 없어가지고
그쵸.
the infrastructure is not made to withstand,
Yeah.
earthquakes. And so I'm sure, not only me, but lots of people were pretty scared about the earthquakes and things like that. And that was quite strong, 6 point something or somewhere around there. But I can't even imagine a 9.5 earthquake.
Yeah.
And of course, that would cause so many after effects like tsunamis as well. 25m 높이의 쓰나미. 자, 1960년 칠레 근처에 가장 큰 표층이 부서지면서 강도 9.5의 지진을 일으켰는데요. 이는 지금까지도 기록된 가장 강력한 지진입니다. 이 지진은 여러 도시에 피해를 입혔는데요. 특히 발디비아라는 도시의 빌딩은 거의 절반이 무너졌고 하지만 이제 대부분의 사상자는 지진으로 발생한 25m 높이의 쓰나미였습니다. 이 쓰나미는 칠레의 해안을 덮치고 몇 시간 뒤에 하와이, 일본, 필리핀까지 덮쳐 사람들의 목숨을 앗아갔다고 합니다. Yeah, this is another incredible story as well. I mean, 진앙에서 1000km 떨어진 지점에서도 지진을 느꼈을 만큼은 큰 지진이잖아요. This is how far away is Chile to Hawaii to Japan to the Philippines?
Exactly. To get a feeling for that, I think it took 15 to 22 hours until the tsunami reached those countries.
Right. And still, they were 25 meters high.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I can't imagine something like that. I've seen like certain footage, I think maybe in Peru, in those areas where people have surf competitions. 근데 저희가 서핑을 하면은 막 1m도 굉장히 크게 보이잖아요. 한국 같은 경우에는. 그래가지고 와우, 서핑 컴피티션 영상을 한번 봤는데 진짜 빌딩만이더라고요.
맞아요.
And 사람이 개미처럼 보이는데 people like look at binoculars and there are boats and jet skis all over. But I mean, if you get under one of those building size waves, I wouldn't be surprised if you never come back up.
Yeah, like that's it.
The power of water. 이렇게 해서 2번 The Great Chilean Earthquake, 세계 가장 큰 지진으로 인해 25m 쓰나미로 여러 나라 덮쳐 사람들의 목숨을 앗았다고 합니다. Number 1. 가보겠습니다. 가기 전에 노래 한번 듣고 갈까요? Let's take a listen to a quick song break before we move on. Here is 박예린, Bye Bye My Blue. Lots of things happening around the world. It's hard to imagine a time of pure peace. If it's not people, then it's nature. Well, we took a look at 2 more. One over in Japan, the Great Kanto earthquake in 1923. In 1960, there was the Great Chilean earthquake, the biggest in the world, 9.5. Let's take a look at our last, but certainly not least. Number 1. 가보겠습니다.
The eruption of Mount Tambora. In 1815, the eruption of Mount Tambora, which is located in present-day Indonesia, was the most powerful volcanic eruption in human history. The ash dispersed around the world and lowered global temperatures, which resulted in the so-called year without a summer. It triggered extreme weather conditions and harvest failures and caused haze to hang in the air for several years, which can still be seen in the gloomy landscapes of naturalist paintings from that time period.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Something that I've always wondered, like 1815, how do you even have records of it, But I guess there is some, in a way, you can take a look at other, I guess, artists and other, I guess, artifacts during that time. Certainly has an effect on the weather. 탐보라산 대폭발인데요. 1915년 지금의 인도네시아 지역에 있는 탐보라산에서는 인류 역사상 가장 강력한 화산 폭발이 일어난 것으로 기록되고 있습니다. 화산에서 이제 나온 화산재가 전 세계를 돌아다니며 덮어서 전 세계의 온도를 낮춰 여름이 없는 해로 기록되기도 했는데요. 이 폭발은 이상기온을 일으켜 농사를 망쳤고 이제 몇 년 동안 하늘에 연기가 남아있게 했다고 하는데요. 이는 그 당시를 그림으로 남긴 화가들의 작품에서도 찾아볼 수 있다고 합니다. Super interesting. Obviously we don't have a photo of it, but we have an artist rendition of how it might have looked like the massive, volcano eruption of Mount Tambora. How scary would it be if you lived anywhere near that area?
Yeah, and back then the people didn't even know what it was. I mean, now we can say, okay, it was a volcanic eruption, this and this happened.
Right.
But back then they didn't know.
Yeah. And I think that's the reason why, back in the day, we would think like, oh, the volcano gods or the weather gods.
Yes.
You've angered them. When in reality, obviously, it's just, not obviously, but it's, just nature running its course and making islands. That's probably the reason why there are so many islands, thousands in Indonesia. But, it has to come from somewhere. Mm-hmm. Incredible. So, we're talking about something that happened, let's say, 200 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it creates history. Yeah. It creates, geography as well. 인근 600km 반경대의 지역은 하루에서 이틀 동안 지륵 같은 어둠 속에 있었다고 하는데요. For 2 days, they were just covered in darkness, which I feel is a short time, because if it was that big of an eruption, then
that's true.
I feel like it would have to be weeks. But 거대한 폭발은 그 소리가 기록상 수마트라 트루먼까지 들렸는데 거리가 무려 2,600km나 떨어진 것이었다고 합니다.
엄청난 거죠.
Yeah. All right.
And it had a huge effect. So if you look at the numbers, 200여 명 굶어 죽었다고
Oh my gosh.
하는데요.
And it's like indirect effect, right?
Yeah.
You starve because there's nothing else to eat.
Yeah.
So 200여만 명이 굶어 죽었고요. 조선에서도 이때 인구가 130만 명이 줄어들었다고 합니다. How that's like miles and miles away.
Yeah.
That's a volcano eruption from Indonesia, has effects over in Korea, hundreds
in
of
Europe,
thousands. Oh, as well.
Everywhere.
All over the world. Alright, 이렇게 해서 저희의 top 6 natural disasters에 대해서 알아봤는데요. 이 중에서 top 1, 1위는 과연 무엇일까요? I'm going to say, my guess is, I want to say number 3, the Great Kanto earthquake. I don't know if that includes the massacre. That's why it's like a 1+1 deal. Is that how we're going with? If not, then the Chilean earthquake as well, just because, it was the earthquake 9.5, can't imagine, and then it hit 3 other countries with the tsunami.
It was even more than that. I mean, those were just some of the countries that were hit.
Right. Okay, well, that settles it. I'm going to go for number 2. My guess is number 2. 과연 1위는 무엇일까요? Drum roll, please.
1위는 The eruption of Mount Tambora.
1위가 1위였네요.
Yes.
Should have known.
The reason why I picked that one is because it really had the biggest effect. It affected the whole world
그쵸?
for years.
Yeah. I mean, 현대 분석 결과로 이 화산 폭발의 에너지량은 인류가 보유하고 있는 모든 핵무기 에너지 총량의 10배를 넘는데요. 결국 엄청난 양의 이산화황, 이 핵겨울과 비슷한 이른바 volcanic winter, 화산 겨울 효과를 일으키면서 온도가 떨어졌고 따뜻해야 할 시절에 냉기가 휘물어졌다고 하는데요. I mean, that's why we said it was the year without summer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a whole year that it had an effect of, globally. That's incredible.
That's unimaginable, I think.
그러니까요. 이제 연간 세계 평균 기온이 섭씨 0.4에서 0.7도 정도 떨어졌다가 6월 4일, 즉 여름에 코네티컷에 서리가 내렸고 6월 6일에는 알바니, 메인, 뉴욕과 데니스빌에 눈이 내렸다고 합니다. 한여름이었는데. Yeah, seriously. 피디님께서 19세기의 climate change disaster. But it's not from, the planes or infrastructure, the industrial revolution. This was purely just because of one volcano.
Mm-hmm.
One volcano.
It's incredible.
Well, in any case, I had a blast with you, Kady님. 덕분에 너무 많이 배워봤고요. Also made me realize how we are not invincible. We are quite weak, 연약한 인간들.
그렇죠.
배우게 되는데요. Well, in any case, thank you once again. 덕분에 많이 배워봤고요. We'll have to see you again next week.
See you next week.
다음 주에 뵈고요. We'll have to leave you guys with our last song. 여기서 마무리하겠습니다. Here's Jeremy Zucker with Come Through. Have a great night, 여러분. 내일 봬요.